Just as you think the police couldn't sink any lower in terms of what they're willing to do to fuck with these truckers, things have escalated slightly more again. So, taking away their money didn't work. Taking away their fuel and possibly some of their food and maybe even water didn't work. So, what is the next logical step for a dictator or a tyrannical government to do? Take away your family. Yep, I'm not even really joking. This is something that has recently come out, and I've actually got an article from CBC. This time, I've got a little bit more proof behind what I'm saying, and I appreciate that. So, according to the CBC, the police chief, Steve Bell, fucking idiot. Anyway, large number of children among protesters hampering response, police say. In case you're wondering, police response in this case is probably some sort of raid. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen it yet. I personally think there's going to be something happening in the next couple days, and I'm not sure when to expect it, but I do expect it. Like they've already they've already lowered the bar so much for expectations from these people that it just makes no sense for them not to try something this fucking sad. So, looking here, Ottawa police say almost 25% of the 418 trucks, that's baby numbers. There's actually way more trucks there than that. They're trying to lower the numbers to show that there's not as much support going around for this. But yeah, they're saying Ottawa, there's about 25% of those 418 trucks have kids inside or living with them. Which has hampered the force's response and led to concerns about the children's safety. Bullshit. The only reason they should be concerned about the children's safety is if they're going to be planning some kind of potential raid, maybe. Hard to say. I don't think they should be concerned about their safety considering they're with their parents. And if they were so concerned about their safety, why is it that they're allowed to go to Black Lives Matters protests and witness people burn down cars, buildings, assault people, and loot? And yet, all of a sudden, no complaints about children's safety. But now, when it comes to people having a little occupation going on where there's food, there's good company, people are being civil and respectful and giving out food for free and all around being good Canadians, all of a sudden that means child is endangered, right? Right? At least that's what they want you to believe. So, police provide an update Tuesday afternoon where Deputy Chief Steve Bell said officers have issued more tickets, made more arrests, and launched dozens more criminal investigations during what they call an occupation of the downtown core. Now it's in its 12th day. But here's a problem with that. If they have made all of these arrests that are completely legitimate, why haven't I been seeing these plastered everywhere? Why haven't I seen people toting the fact that the Freedom Truckers have had so many criminals amongst them? But they haven't. Because most of these arrests are fucking stupid. In fact, most of those people are probably going to end up being able to sue the police chief for the fucking bullshit that they were put through. As of noon today, police say they have arrested 23 people and there are currently 85 active criminal investigations. And yet, they're not even investigating the one person that should be investigated. The Prime Minister himself. The irony. Who would have guessed? Bell also turned his focus to the children of protesters over the weekend. Bouncy castles were set up near Parliament Hill to help entertain the children who remain. Bell said police are working the Children's Aid Society of Ottawa regarding those children. In other words, they brought in social workers because, you guessed it, protesters brought in extremely dangerous bouncy castles to an occupation or a protest. Oh my, I wouldn't want to be one of those children, you know, you might fall out of the castle and scrape your elbow. But no. They want you to believe it's for the children's safety, but in reality, it's most likely to drum up some sort of emotional response from the protesters, so that way they have a reason to crack down on them. But hey, what can you say? They're going to use these tactics regardless. It's something that greatly concerns us, Bell said, as first responders are worried about the constant exposure to carbon monoxide, fumes, noise levels, and the sanitation of the children. First of all, this is not a problem. They've already blocked off the street. There's less cars going down that street, less fuel, less emissions, everything is less. So if anything, they're breathing cleaner air than has ever been down in Ottawa. So this here makes no sense. Same thing with the noise levels. If you live in a big city, there's constantly noise. It doesn't matter if they're honking from a distance or honking up close to you. That shit happens everywhere. And the sanitation of the children, how else are everybody else having showers? They're figuring it out. I guarantee you they're not telling the kids to just go roll in the mud and all of a sudden they're not going to clean them. Like, what do they think is happening? We'll rely on the Children's Aid Society to help provide and give us guidance around that. You sure about that? We just think it's an important factor that complicates and makes this an even more challenging operation. Yes, it does make it more challenging for you to not try to assault the truckers or try to arrest them for no reason unless it's some bullshit Justin Trudeau comes up with. The reason that you're worried isn't because of their safety, unless it's because you're going to go in there guns toting and start a raid, which is very likely to happen because these truckers aren't going to leave. They're not going to back down just because you're going to do everything in the book to try to force them to. What else do we got here? Children are protected by their parents. Okay, they're fine. This is a perfectly peaceful protest, said Jacob Vellerin, who traveled to Ottawa from the Chatham, Kent. I don't know where that is. Chatham, Kent area in southwestern Ontario. I should have just kept reading. He said part of the reason he was at the protest was because of his nephew. This is wrong that we're even suggesting taking kids from their parents. That is correct. They are suggesting that there is a possibility that they will remove their children from the safety of their parents because their parents have wrongthink. They want their freedom, so therefore they got to take away their kids' freedom. It seems like a really shady business to go start doing that. Okay, what else do we got here? We are out here for our children's future, she said. What concerns me more is what is happening to my children and what may happen to them in the future. And that is the reason that we're going to keep them out here. Because they're not in the forefront. They are the future that we're fighting for. And that's my point that I was making before. If it was okay for people to bring their children to BLM BLM protests where Antifa goes and runs rampant and starts all this anarchy, why is it a problem where a group of people who are being extremely neighborly, very friendly, and are only causing the most minor disruption by honking their horns, which they can't even do anymore because they took that right away too. Way to go. Way to go, courts. Anyway, what is the problem with letting kids experience what the real world is like? Do you know how much it would have affected me growing up knowing what the real world was like? I would have been more prepared. If anything, these kids are going to grow up more rational than any of us, even more rational than me. And I like to think of myself as somebody who's very level-headed, especially when it comes to thinking about the hidden messages behind what people are trying to convey. And that's what CBC is doing right here. They're trying to convey a concern for the kids, but in reality, it's the police's concern on how they can get rid of the kids to get to the truckers. It's a big challenge for fuel, even more so now, but we really make sure that our truck drivers aren't lacking anything, that their children aren't lacking anything in terms of food, their basic health needs. That's right. They are being fed. They're being hygienic. They're being kept up. Everybody there is. They're not going to leave the kids out of that. So they're trying to find a way to get rid of their family so that it makes them back down, and it just won't work. People don't realize just how much the world is watching us right now. And they see Justin Trudeau for his true colors now. And not the true colors that he puts on his face with that black makeup. The true colors that are hiding beneath his many, many masks. And they're the colors of hatred. They're the colors of evil at this point. He's not a man. He's just not a man. If anything, he's a demon. He's here to destroy everything we love. And he's here to take everything you love from you. Police facing logistical problems, eh? Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that some of the police just don't really want to do this? Who would guess that the police would not want to go and harass every single person with a jerry can? Because it's a wild goose chase now. They're not allowed to take water from people because it's against the Geneva Convention. Same thing with the fuel because of what it's being used for. So even if I was wrong about the fuel being given back, legally it has to be given back. It is being used as a heat source. It is being used to give shelter. Taking that away takes away everybody's basic human rights, especially the one to protest. And that is what this is. It's an occupation by name and name alone. It is a friendly, polite protest to the highest degree. And it has inspired thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions around the world. And it is the first time that I've truly felt like an actual Canadian. Watching some of us get together, unite, be so strong, and have a positive influence on the world for once. This is something I haven't seen in years. And it's finally happening. And the only thing we're getting from the media and from the Prime Minister and all the other people that are the higher ups that are underneath Prime Minister Trudeau's little magic puppet fingers is pushback. It's all we're getting. It's all we're getting. And it's really disappointing because it just proves that the media is so concerned with their budget from the government that they can't look at things honestly. So right now we're at a point where the government is willing to take your kids. Let's be real. They are willing to find them a new home with parents who don't have wrong think, or they're willing to let you keep your kids if you go the fuck home. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. And with the connotations behind this line and this line alone, large number of children among protesters hampering response. What would be the response if the kids weren't there? We always have to wonder. I mean, I've seen a lot of sniper rifles point at them. I've seen full-on riot police. I've seen SWAT. So what would have been the response? Tear gas? A few flashbangs? Just full-on mass arrests? I mean, that's already happening now. There's already mass arrests happening all over this protest just because they can get away with it. There's not enough eyes being put on the fact that our news outlets, CBC especially, is one of the biggest ones that has that issue. Here, just so in case you can't see it, this is CBC. But CBC, they have to realize, that people see through it. People see what this is. No matter how nice of a spin you put on it for children's safety, these kids are much safer with their parents than they are with the government. They are. Trudeau's got a bad history of dealing with anything that is from Canada. If you're a refugee, fine. He'll treat you like a fucking royalty. But if you're a Canadian child, you're going to be put in the system. And you're going to be put in the system for a very long time if he had anything to say about it. Especially because these kids' parents were part of a regime to get rid of him. Or at least just the mandates. That's the worst part. Is it's just for the mandates. This is the easiest thing to just get rid of. But no. They won't do it. They won't cave. They won't cave. But the best part about this is neither will the truckers. And in fact, the movement will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Trudeau has nowhere to go. He only has one option and one option that he can do. And that is resign. He has no fucking footing. Nobody trusts him anymore. That Pierre guy, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but that Pierre guy, he's going to take his spot in no time. I don't even really like Conservative, but at this point I like him more than Trudeau. So why should we keep him in office when there's easily a better candidate already at our fingertips? And especially if he's going to go after the kids, what won't he do? Just keep that in mind. What won't he do to keep his power? I hate to be that guy, but once you start going for the kids, you've already sunk so low that there's no way to climb back up. And I hope the world sees this for what it is, and not for the pretty pictures or the nice wording they use to hide the true intentions behind it. Anyways, guys, I felt like I needed to make this video because stuff like this just pisses me off. And if I had children and I brought them to a protest with me and somebody threatened to take my kids away, I don't know what I'd do. I'm just hoping that if something escalates, the truckers know not to get violent. Because getting violent is what's going to ruin this protest. It's literally what they're hoping for. They're hoping for violence so that they can say that you're in the wrong, even though the world won't see it that way. Not anymore, Canada. Not anymore, Trudeau. You've lost the respect of the world, and you had it for a little bit there. I'm not gonna lie, you did. But that respect is now gone. Just like your integrity, your morals, and that black makeup you like to wear. Anyways, guys, I will see you all in the next video once I have some more information to throw out there. But, yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful night. Stay strong, stay united, and I hope we finally get back to a free Canada. Love you guys. Bye-bye.